Hi sir, this is T. Kushi from ITA and my roll number is 37 and my topic for Tech Talk for operating systems is evolving of operating system for web. So coming to the introduction, an operating system is a software program that serves as a conduct between computer hardware and the user. It is a piece of software that coordinates the execution of application programs, software resources, and computer hardware. It also aids in the control of software and hardware resources such as file management, memory management, input or output, and a variety of peripheral devices such as a disk drive, printers, and so on. Every computer system must have at least one operating system to run other applications. Browsers, MS Office, Notepad games, and other applications require an environment to execute and fulfill their functions. So what is evolution of operating system? Operating system have processed or progressed from slow and expensive systems to today's technology, which has exponentially increased computing power at comparatively modest costs. So let's have a detailed look at the evolution of operating systems. The operating system can be classified into 4 generations as follows. First generation, second generation, third generation, and fourth generation. So now we are going to look into each and every generation in a detailed way. So first, let us talk about the first generation of operating system. So before going to that, we are going to learn about the background of the operating system. Operating system was made in late 1950 to handle the tape storage. The General Motor Research Lab implemented the first OS in 1950 for their IBM 701. Operating systems began to use disks in the 1950s. Unix OS was the first version that was developed in the late 1960s. Microsoft built in the operating system in late 1960. Microsoft developed by the operating system and it was called DOS. It was developed in the year 1981 by acquiring the 86DOS company software from the Seattle company. So this is the background of operating system. So from this slide, you will know that in 1950, the implementation of operating system has begun. So here, this is the evolution of operating system. So you would have serial processing, next the batch system, next multi-programmed batch system, time-shared operating system, and next is Macintosh operating system. So you can see the progress in the form of an arrow. So first generation, it is also called as serial processing. The evolution of operating systems began with serial processing. It marks the start of the development of electronic computing systems as alternatives to mechanical computers. Because of the flaws in mechanical computing devices, humans' calculation speed is limited and they are prone to making mistakes because there is no operating system in this generation. The computer system is given instructions that must be carried out immediately. So in first generation, serial processing has taken place. So instead of mechanical computers, electronical computing devices has been taken as an alternative. But still here, there were many complications because here calculations and all are done by humans. So this is more prone to errors and it is more time taking also. So this is one of the disadvantages in first generation of operating system. Programmers were incorporated into hardware components without using an operating system by the 1940s and 1950s. The challenge here are scheduling and setuping time. The user logs in for machine time by wasting computational time. Setup time is required when loading the compiler, saving the compiled program, the source program, linking, and buffering. The process is restarted if an intermediate errors occur. So, example of first generation is Windows 95 and 98 are one of the best examples for serial processing operating systems. Next is second generation, that is batch system. The batch systems mark the second generation in the evolution of operating systems. In the second generation, the batch processing system was implemented, which allows a job or task to be done in a series and then completed sequentially. So the computer system in this generation does not have any operating system. All the various operating systems functionalities are available such as FMS and IBSYS. It is used to improve computer utilization and application. On cards and tapes, jobs were scheduled and submitted. Then, using Job Control Language (JCL), they were successfully executed on monitors. The first computers evolved or employed in the batch operation method created a computer batch of jobs that never paused or stopped. So, coming to batch system, unlike serial processing, in serial processing you have to follow a particular sequence, but in batch system, a batch of things are processed at once. So the here also there was no particular operating system, but some of the operating systems such as FMS and IBSYS were already available. So when compared to first generation, second generation, there was an improvement in computer utilization and applications. So here the instructions were scheduled and typed and submitted in the form of cards and tapes. According to those inputs, the output would be done and it would be executed on the monitors. So the first computers which were done or which were developed using this batch systems were always working. They were never paused. So it was so effective in those days. The software is written on punch cards and then it is transferred into the tapes processing unit. When the computer finishes one job, it immediately moves on to the next item on the tape. Despite the fact that it is inconvenient for the users, it is designed to keep the pricey computer as busy as possible by running a leveraged stream of operations. Memory protection prevents the memory space that makes up the monitor from being changed, and the timer prevents the job from monopolizing the system. When the input and output devices are in use, the processor remains idle due to the poor CPU utilization. So here, what is the example of second generation or batch system? MBS operating system of IBM is an example of batch processing operating system. Coming to the third generation. So third generation, here you have seen multi-programmed batch system. The evolution of operating system embarks the third generation with multi-programmed batch systems. In the third generation, the operating system was designed to serve numerous users simultaneously. Interactive users can communicate with the computer via an online terminal, making the operating system a multi-user and a multi-programming. It is used to execute several jobs that should be kept in the main memory. The processor determines which program to be run through job scheduling algorithms. So in second generation, you have seen batch system programming. There, the programming is done one after the other, like one finishes and the next comes. Whereas in the third generation, it is developed to a stage where multi-programming batch systems are thought. Here, at once you will operate, more than one user can operate the system and transfer or communicate with each other via an online terminal. So this is one step ahead to second generation where we used batch systems. So here examples of multi-programmed batch system is Windows and iOS. So here you can see the pictures of first generation, second generation, and third generation. In first generation, everything was analog. That is, analog means electrical part only. We used storage tapes and all. Coming to second generation, there was a part of analog switching and something was related to digital part like digital recording and all. Here the operating systems have come into use. Here also you use storage disks, tapes, recordings and all. Coming to third generation, here you are using analog switching and IP recording. So you'll have here fiber, mutes, encoder, decoders, storage, monitors and all. So coming to the fourth generation, the operating system is employed in this age for computer networks where users are aware of the existence of computers connected to one another. The era of networked computing has already begun and users are comforted by a graphical user interface, that is GUI, which is an incredibly comfortable graphical computer interface. In the fourth generation, the time-sharing operating system and the Macintosh operating system came into existence. So, in fourth generation, so you have started seeing GUI, that is graphical user interface. So in that, it is divided into two types. One is the time-sharing operating system and one is Macintosh operating system. So let us look into both of the types in detail. So first is time sharing operating system. The time sharing of operating systems had a great impact on the evolution of operating systems. Multiple users can access the system via terminals at the same time. So, and the processor's time is divided among them. Printing pods were required for programs having a command line user interface, which required written responses to prompts or written commands. The interaction is scrolled down like a roll of paper. It was previously used to develop batch replacement systems. So, in time sharing operating system, generally at the same time, at particular time, more than one user can use that operating system. And depending upon their needs, some commands have to be written so that which condition will be performed first and which will be performed next. So this interaction is scrolled down like a roll of paper. It was previously used to develop the batch replacement system. The user interfaces directly with the computer via printing pods, much like an electrical teletype. Few users shared the computer immediately, and each activity was completed in a fraction of a second before moving on to the next. By establishing interactions when they are receiving full attention, the fast server may act on the large number of user processes at once. Multiple programs use time sharing systems to apply it to the computer system by sharing the systems interactively. So, what is the main advantage of time sharing systems is that at once you can perform many tasks, and each and every task is performed in fraction of seconds. It is very fast. So, and in a very interactive method, you will do this sharing and matter. So, example is Unix operating system is a best example for time sharing operating system. So, next is Macintosh operating system. So, it was based on decades of research into graphical operating systems and the applications for personal computers. The photo depicts a Sutherland Pioneer program sketchpad that was developed in 1960, employing many of the characteristics of today's graphical user interface. But the hardware components cost millions of dollars and took up a room. The initiative on massive computers and hardware improvements made the Macintosh commercially and economically viable after many research gaps. Many research laboratories are still working on research prototypes like sketchpads. It served the foundation for an anti-patent products. So the example of Macintosh operating system is Mac OS X 10.6.8 Snow Leopard and OS X 10.7.5 Lion are some of the examples of Macintosh OS. So, but Macintosh OS operating system, when compared with time sharing operating system, it is a bit very expensive. So, it is not used in a large way, but you can say Mac OS generally used in our Apple phones and all. So, being costlier, so it is used less, but it is very effective also. It is also one of the effective operating systems. So, what are the features of operating systems? So, information and resource protection, protect and supervisor mode, heading IO operations, programming executions, memory management, virtual memory multitasking, error detection and handling, manipulation of the file system, allow disk and access file system devices, drivers, network securities. So these are some of the features of operating systems. So you will have many types of operating systems also, like you have Android operating system, you have iOS operating system, which is used in Apple phones, and each and every operating system has its own features, has its own advantages and disadvantages as well. So let us look into the advantages of operating system. First is user-friendly interface. When the Windows operating system was first released, it also included GUI, that is graphical user interface, which made using computers far more natural than the previous command line interface. Furthermore, users can swiftly comprehend, interact with, and communicate with the computers. Next is source of computing. The operating system is a software program that connects the user to the hardware. It enables user to enter data, process it, and view the results. User can also interface with computers via the operating system to conduct various operations such as arithmetic calculations and other essential tasks. Next is sharing resources. Printers, modems, players, and fax machines are all used by operating systems to share data and important information with other resources. Furthermore, a single user can send emails to several users at the same time to share the same information. Using an operating system, you can also transfer applications, photos, media items from your PC to other devices. Next is data protection. On the computer, there is a lot of user data that can only be accessed within the help of an operating system. Apart from storing and accessing data, an operating system crucial role is to handle data safely and securely. Windows Defender, for example, finds and eliminates dangerous and harmful files in Microsoft Windows. It also protects your information by encrypting it bit by bit. Next is uninvolvement of coding lines. Operating system now allows users to access hardware without writing programs thanks to the GUI. Users do not need to write lines of code to access the hardware capability of a computer system as they did previously. Multitasking. An operating system can manage multiple tasks at once. It enables user to complete multiple things at the same time. Updated software. The operating system is a piece of software that needs to be updated on a regular basis in order to keep up with the rapidly changing features. OS must increase benchmarks and handle all aspects of computer operation as another programs and softwares receive upgrades to improve their usefulness. An operating system can be updated without difficulty. So I hope you got a clarity of the advantages of operating systems and evolution of operating systems, generations, all the 4 generations and all. So apart from this, you'll have operating system is basic for any device. Without operating system, there is no scope for any device or no scope to write a program. So generally you use phones and all. So in phones, you'll have all the operating systems inbuilt. For Android phones, you'll have Android operating systems. And for Apple phones, you'll have iOS. So these operating systems are helpful in maintaining the phone. It helps in maintaining the phone it helps in downloading the phone. It helps in saving the data and all. So operating systems are of 2 types. Main is Android operating system and iOS operating system. So each work on their own basis. So operating systems are the basic for any electronic device. So with this operating systems only, you can make a device, you can write a program and you can make it work. So it is responsible for each and everything to to store the data, to retrieve the data, to forward the data, anything you need an operating system. So it is nothing but it is a middleware for the user and the hardware. So it is a mediator. Operating system acts as a mediator between the user and the hardware device to communicate, to maintain a communication between them. So I think you understood the importance of operating system, how important it is. Thank you so much.